Kim from Dorothy's Daughter. Welcome to my channel. This is a place where we do tutorials, crafts, anything you name it that has to do with sewing and crafting. So welcome if you're new here, and welcome back if you're not. So today is Merry Monday, and every Monday until Christmas I'm releasing a video that has something you can either gift or a holiday outfit or something, maybe even just to pamper yourself or whatever that might be. So today I'm actually rejuvenating an oldie but a goodie. So one of my most requested tutorials ever is the composition notebook cover. So it makes it into a really nice journal that you can gift. So I'm going to show you that video because why reinvent the wheel? And then if you have any questions, feel free to email me or contact me in the comments or whatever you like. So enjoy. Happy Merry Monday. Happy sewing and Merry Christmas. God bless. For you. So today we're going to be making these really great journals. And here's mine actually that I use all the time. Basically, it's a cover for a composition notebook, just the regular kind that you can buy, and usually like Walmart will have them for 50 cents on and off. I use all different materials. You can use almost anything for this. This one has kind of like a book binding piece on it, and this is just some coordinating quilting cotton. This one was made with faux leather, very simple, very plain, but a nice journal. This would be nice for a man. This one is just, I actually just quilted the fabric and it's just plain on the inside. You can use these journals for all sorts of things. You can take notes in a class. I use mine as a prayer journal, and it's really kind of cool. If you are a person of prayer and you go back and look at your prayer journals from times past, it's really a neat way to see how God has influenced your life. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what supplies you need. You need composition notebooks. There are several different kinds. You can get the kind that has lined pages, which is the most common type that you see. I did find a place online where you can order some blank ones with no lines, and I really like those for kids because they can just draw in them then. You could also use this as a fashion sketchbook. And another type that I don't have an example of right now, but you can also get one with graph paper. So those are readily available. The blank ones are a little bit harder to find, but I did. I'll put a link below where I did buy some, and they were not terribly expensive when you consider that really the entire gift would cost pennies to make. So you need a composition notebook. And you need some material, fabric of some kind. Now I am using a quilted cotton. You don't need a lot. 3 fat quarters is plenty. This is for the outside, and then you need fabric for the lining. And then you need any embellishments that you might want. You may want another little bit of fabric to create a book binding look like this. Which is just really a scrap of fabric that coordinates. You could even use faux leather for this. That would be nice, actually. If you'd like to make a bookmark, you can add some ribbon, and I'll show you how to do that. You can also use ribbon on the side to make this little pencil holder or pen holder. You can also use self fabric to make that loop as well. And you need some fusible fleece. So you don't need very many things. The most expensive thing I think on this whole entire list would be the notebook and the fleece. But it takes really just this large of a piece, not very much at all. All right, so I'm going to show you how to make this. Okay, so you're going to first cut your outer fabric. And you want to make this piece 17 3/4 by 11. So I've just kind of evened up the side here. I'm going to go ahead and cut 11 inches high here. And if you've never used an L ruler before, it's really, really nice because you can make sure that you have right angles on things. It's a little more precise. So as you can see, I'm cutting 11 inches here. And then you want 17 3/4. And I'm going to get rid of this selvage edge here. A little tip with these selvage edges, if you cut them off, they make good twill tape. They make good stabilizers for shoulder seams and knits. So I do save them. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and cut this one 17 3/4. Okay, so then I'm going to take my composition notebook and round the corners. So what I like to do, you've got a 1/2 inch of seam allowance. Okay, so what I like to do is kind of go in 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch and mark that point. Okay, so I'm going to go in 1/2 inch here. And 1/2 inch here. And mark that point where they intersect. So I'll just go over these chalk lines that I drew. So this is the point that you want to start. This is seam allowance. Okay, so then you want to take your composition notebook and just butt it up in the, line it up so that you're on the seam allowance both directions. And then just draw around the corner so that you have the rounding of the corner. Might be a little bit hard to see here, but you have that. Okay, you want to add that 1/2 inch seam allowance onto the curve. So that you get a curve to your corners. So they look much better if they're curved. So all I did was I drew the curve of the book and then I added a 1/2 inch seam allowance to that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut that. Okay, so I have a rounded corner. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so then I'm just going to fold this in half. And I have this rounded corner here. So I'm just going to take my rotary cutter and copy that onto the other side, the other corner. All right. And then I'm going to fold it in half the other way and do the same thing so that all 4 corners will be rounded. And rounded with the proper angle that you want for the composition book that you have. I mean, you probably could just be less precise with it and just round the corners, but I want to show you the right way. So if you're a fudger and you can get away with it, you probably can, but every time I try to fudge, I don't always get away with it. So all right, so there you have the front piece, okay? And now the lining piece, what you want to do is just put this down on top, and then you can use that piece as your pattern. All right. I'm making my journal for a 10-year-old girl, our pastor's little girl, and I'm going to make a matching pencil pouch, which is our project for tomorrow, so that she can have colored pencils and a journal to draw in. Okay, so now I have the front and the lining pieces cut, and I think this is pre-cut. So let me double check here. So this piece, I really don't want all that bulk. So what I did for this piece is I went ahead and I cut it just like the other pieces, but I cut the 1/2 inch seam allowance off of that to get it out of the way. Okay, so you don't have that bulk, because you want your book to lay in there nice and flat. Okay, so now you're going to cut the 11 by 12 because you want it to be 6 inches wide, and it's 11 inches high, the same as the rest of the book. So I'm going to go 11 inches here, and we're going to cut 2 of them because there's 2 flaps to hold the book in. Right now we're cutting these pieces that will hold the book in. All right. So we're going to do 12 inches. So anyway, I sent him to the store to get me an L-shaped ruler, and he came back with this like serious engineering grade. Yeah. It's probably way more than I need, but it's really nice, and I really do like it. So it is a great ruler, and I have no idea where he got it, but probably paid way more for it than what a sewing ruler would have been, but it's nice and heavy duty, and it's a nice surface to cut against with the rotary cutter too. So I'll give you a link, except I have no idea. All right, so here are the 2 pieces for the flaps. So when you're putting your book together, these will just fold in half, like that. All right, and if you want to, at this point, you can transfer the corner markings to these as well, or you can just cut them off when you trim the seam allowance, which is what I usually do. All right, so those are all the pieces all cut out. All right, now I'm not going to put a pen holder because this is to color in, but I am going to go ahead and put a bookmark. So what you want to do is you want to decide how long you want your bookmark to be. I don't want it to stick out too long. So I'm probably going to do about like that, and then I'll trim it and put some phrase stop on the bottom later. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. All right, so now I have all the pieces cut out that I need. Now at this time, if you wanted to do the pen holder, you would either make a little tunnel of fabric and fold it as I did here. Get the pen out. This is really in here. That's just self fabric, or you could use a piece of ribbon. This ribbon that I used for the bookmark was not very wide, so I went ahead and did the fabric one. Okay, so I'm going to take this now over to the ironing board, and I'm going to go ahead and apply this fusible fleece per instructions to the front fabric. So I'm going to do it on this one. This fabric is from Hobby Lobby, if you like it, by the way. It was in their quilting cotton. I think it was on sale when I bought it. All right, so I'm going to apply this there, and I'll be right back. So I fused the fusible fleece to the back side, the wrong side of the main fabric for the cover. All right, so I'm just going to place this wrong side down. All right, and then I'm going to place any of the embellishments that I decided on. That little, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find the center. And I'm going to place this ribbon in the center. And I'm going to put it, this has polka dots. So I'm going to go ahead and put it polka dot side down so that when you open the book, it will go like that. All right. So I'm just going to center that right on that little center marking. And go ahead and put a pin there. Have you seen those new maker aprons from Helen's Closet? I definitely want one of those. It has pockets. You can have your scissors and your rotary cutter and everything right in your pocket, and protected too. And that looks amazing. So the next thing that goes would be your flaps. So I'm going to go ahead and just put those here. Just line those up so that now remember, we didn't round these corners. We're going to just do that when we trim it, but if you rounded the corners, it probably would be a little easier to line up. Do the other side. You're just putting wrong sides together for that. The raw edges go to the outside. The folded edge goes in the inside, because this will be inside the book to hold all of your pages. And then you're going to take your lining piece and line it up right side together with the other stuff. You're going to see just how quick these are. Once you do a few, you can crank these out in about 10 minutes time. So if you have a lot of people you need to give a little something to, this would be a great teacher gift. I'm thinking about actually making some for the ladies on my worship team. Haven't decided. I have so much sewing to do that that might not happen, but we'll see. I just want to make sure that everything is folded nicely, nice and flat. You don't want anything to pucker under there. See how you'll just be able to trim those corners of the flaps, so you don't really have to trim those until after. So now that I have everything placed, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stitch a 1/2 inch seam. I'm going to leave this a center part open so we can turn it. So I'm going to sew from, I'll leave a maybe 3 inch or to 4 inch opening, and sew all the way around, making sure that all of it is caught. Make sure that the ribbon catches up here. Make sure that the flaps are catching. And you're just sewing a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. I'll be right back. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim the seam allowance close to the stitching, and leave some in that opening though. Just trim all the edges. Okay, once you get it turned right side out, you can use your point turner and go in and make sure all those corners are out. And you can pull on this a little bit. The flaps is a good way. It's a good way to make sure that it's turned all the way. All right, so now We have one more step, and that is to go ahead and sew. Well, first we're going to press this whole thing, and then we're going to go over and we're going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from the edge all the way around, which will close, it'll enclose the opening when you do that, and you'll be ready to put the book in. So what I have now is a completed journal cover, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slip the book into it. Occasionally you might have a notebook that varies in size by just a tiny bit, and just go ahead and trim the book if you need to. Kind of have to fold it back on itself to make the other side fit. I am going to trim this just a little bit because in height it's just a little bit too tall. So there, it'll slip in much easier then. And if you really want to be nice, you could include a refill with your gift. I think I'm going to do that since it's for a little one. And I know how fast kids draw, go through tablets, so, and you're all set. There's the notebook for drawing. You have your bookmark. All right, now what you want to do with the bookmark is just cut it at a 45-degree angle at the bottom. This is grosgrain ribbon, so if you have grosgrain ribbon, this is what you want to do. Cut it at a 45-degree angle, and then just put a little bit of fray block or a fray check on there, you know, so it stays nice at the end. And there you have it. There is a nice little book.